Welcome to the Metal Prognosis. My name is Lee. Now in today's video, we are going to be looking at the Fortin 33 pedal, which is very black and very cool. I like it. Now this isn't a review to see if I like it or not, so that's not a spoiler. I do like it. This has been featured in a few videos kind of as a special guest appearance. But this video, we're going to highlight it and give it the full spotlight worth a discussion that I feel like it deserves. So before I describe what it is, I'm going to describe firstly what it isn't. Unlike like the UZI or the Gentonic pedal, just as two examples, these are distortion pedals. So as soon as you turn them on, you're going to hear a distortion sound straight off the bat, no matter what the settings are. Now with the Fortin 33, that isn't the case. Well, for example, it's only got one knob. This is a booster, so it boosts the signal. So when you plug your guitar in straight into the amp, the guitar signal that comes through the pickups, through the cable into here, is very, very tiny. And someone figured out many years ago that you can actually boost that signal and really push your amp to get some really creative and awesome sounds. And that is, or this is a part of the evolution of that. So this boosts the signal to really help push your amp further, or whatever other sounds you have. Now it's only got the one knob. Anyone that's seen any of my other videos, I'm normally not a fan of not many options, for lack of a better term. And that's why, for example, the Gentonic is one of my favorites because it gives me a lot of room to be creative with its different EQ and different options it has on here. Where this one, 33, just has one. You have either more or less. That's it. So with the 33, I see it as an enhancing pedal, not as a primary pedal. So what we're going to do is, to really help emphasize how this is an enhancing pedal, is we are going to dial in a good, I'm going to try dial in a good, I'll be very surprised if I don't, a good distortion sound just straight off this Kraken here. And then we're going to use this to boost the already good signal that we have here. And then, well, I'll talk through as I'm doing it. And yeah, we'll see the results that we get. What I might also do is I'll do a double recording for this because in all my videos I like to have a jam. So I'll do two jams of the same song. And I'll do one with the pedal on all the way through and one without it all the way through. So we can actually hear it in a mix with the bass guitar, and we'll double up on the guitar. So one in left, one in the right speaker. So we can hear the full dynamics and the effects that it can have in a mix. And then we can have a chat about it then to see if this pedal is going to do, or its enhancement is going to do better, or if I'm just overreacting, which is always a possibility. So yeah, in saying that, let's put these to the test and have a bit of a play and see what we come up with. Now we have everything set up. I also decided to grab my 7-string for this, which is tuned down, because the 33 pedal was famous for dealing with lower tunings. The lower tuning it is, the harder it is to have a controlled distortion sound. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to dial in just a good distortion sound purely off the Kraken amp. So I've set up my speakers and microphone in the other room. So let's firstly find, give it a bit of volume here. Let's see what we've got. So I've got some sound. Maybe a lot more gain than that. Crank it. There we go. Now, before I talk about the mics and how I set that up, let me quickly just get this a little bit more pumping. Take out some lows, because there's enough deep coming in just the strings naturally. treble. That's that bite that I really like. So add a little bit more middle. That's sounding good already. Cool. All right, so now let me run through the mics I have set up. So I've got two different mics there. One that I use for picking up the higher register and the other one to pick up the lower dynamics. So this one here, and I'll chuck on the other one now. So the second one is my SM57, which is designed, not really designed, but I utilize it more for picking up the bite. Where the first one I did was my E609, which I use to help give the sound a lot more body. And this is both together. I'm going to give myself some more volume because that's sounding really cool. Now I've got both microphones set up just at noon, so they're both coming in equally. I normally like to shape them a little bit, so if I need a little bit more bite, I'll add more of the 57 or balance them out however I feel need be, depending on the guitar and the pedal or any other settings I have going. But for this, we're just keeping them pretty raw and straight up. So now that we have that's sounding really nice, that amp. So as an example, normally, not normally, but commonly, if you were to grab an amp head and play that in lower tuning like this on a 7-string or an 8-string and playing low chords, normally it gets too muffled and broken up and you can't identify or differentiate between each different chords that you're playing. Where this, I feel like you really can. So full credit to the Kraken there. But we are not just talking about the Kraken, we are talking about the 33 as well. So let's get, I was going to make a pun about let's get cracking on, but no, too late, I made it. So firstly, let's start off with the 33 down low. We get the nice green light. So now we should have no volume coming in, which is correct. You can play anything, there's no volume, because no one can hear. So this has been a boost. So let's chuck it up to, now, before I do that, quick timeout. With this pedal, it's not only just boosting the signal, it's also got a certain EQ curve to it. So they designed to do this to deal with 7 strings and low tuning. So it's going to cut out a lot of the lows and boost a lot of the mids and highs, which I really like doing anyway. So I've done that a little bit with the amp. So let's see how it sounds as is using it, or if I need to dial back the actual amp because it might be too punchy, too going through. Let's find out. So let's start it at, just go straight 12 o'clock. Let's turn up the guitar. This is with it off. So it definitely takes away a lot of that bottom end. And kind of, what's the best way to describe it? Definitely gives it more bite. It gives it a hell of a lot more bite, which I love in the guitars because I like that cut through blade type of sound when I'm playing this tuning. And I like my notes to be heard as well. I don't like mush in my sound. So this definitely cleans it up beautifully. So let's crank it a little bit more. This is full. So we're getting a lot of hiss coming through the speakers now. And everything is very sensitive. Once again, when you're chasing a tone, it doesn't matter what you play or how many mistakes, because you're just chasing a tone, not your playing. Yeah, I'm really liking that. That's sounding good. I don't think there's actually anything I want to change on the amp. No. Had a little bit of thought of just thinking things of myself then. No, everything's sounding good. I should talk my thoughts out more. I think the gain's really nice. Like, because I like my lower tuning distortion to be a little bit drier, so you can hear the notes and get more of a cut through blade sound than just oversaturated distortion. So the gain's looking good. I don't mind the bass being where it is. Let's try adding the bass. So we've got, what is it, about 10 o'clock-ish on the dial. So let's put it to 12. I actually prefer it at 12 with the pedal on. You just get a little bit more chunk out of it. So this is now with the bass at 12 and no pedal. That sounds really cool, but I feel like it's way too much bottom end there, especially when you start doubling up on the guitars for recording, because you're doubling up on those frequencies too. So I feel like the guitars will get a little bit lost there, which is not what you want. You want to play guitar and be heard, not lost. So Yeah, it really brightens everything up. Which is ironic because it's a very black pedal. There is actually no colouring to it whatsoever. It's either black or you've got the silver natural colour there, which hasn't been coloured in. Yeah, one other thing I will mention before I move on to the jam is what I like to call the breathability, which in guitar terms and distortion terms means how much breathing space do you have as a guitar player? Because the one thing I hate is when you get a distortion sound or a highly affected signal chain for your guitar where it just clouds everything, where you can do anything and it doesn't matter. Not so much it doesn't matter, but it doesn't reflect your guitar playing. It over, what's the best description? It kind of puts a big blanket over it, and whatever you play, it's just going to sound the same because it just caps everything and plateaus it out. And I don't like any really guitar effects to be plateaued out. I like there to be breathability. And what breathability is something like this. So if I'm playing just the bottom string open, so to speak, nice little chug. The breathability is how much characteristics can I get out of that one note just by playing with my right hand. And a little bit of assistant there, but mainly in the right hand. So for example, this is how much breathability I have with this pedal and this amp matched up. I could easily go on for another 4 minutes of just playing an open note because that is not only a lot of fun, but I feel like that has got a lot of breathing space where I can really add creative characteristics to my rhythm just by changing my how I pick on my right hand and not even worrying about my left. You can. I really nearly stumble over my own words then. This is the crap thing about stuttering. You can really be creative and melodic to a certain extent without actually playing any melody. Sounds like a contradiction, but when you're talking about rhythm guitars, that's kind of what we're referring to. I gotta really practice my picking now. Hopefully that makes sense. So that is a big tick for me. The breathability and the opportunity to really express yourself as a guitarist, these do really nicely. So big thumbs up, which is good. So in saying that, I'm going to push on now because otherwise I'm just going to keep mucking around with this because it's sounding really good and really fun, and you can really get lost with yourself just mucking around and not actually progressing. So time to progress. I'm going to take a little bit of time away from the camera, compose a little quick jam. I'll probably do three different type of riffs and put them back to back. I'll record it twice, one with the pedal on, one with the pedal off, and then afterwards we'll have a chat about it and see what we think about it. Maybe this dries it up too much, and when you put in a full mix, it's just empty and shallow. Or maybe with it off, it's too saturated and too drowning. So we'll find out. So, in saying that, I'm going to take a few minutes off, but for you, it's probably going to be about another 5 seconds. So in saying that, I'll see you all on the other side. Time for my final thoughts on the Fortin 33 pedal. So before I actually talk about the pedal, once again, I'll do what I did before at the start of the video. Let's talk about what things are like without it. So let's put that aside for now. So the first playthrough that I did for the song was with just the amp. So firstly, we got a really nice distortion straight from the amp head, which was really good. Its EQ system on here was really solid. And actually playing the song through it, not only felt really nice, but I felt like all the low ends weren't too overly saturated with too much bottom end coming through, especially with the low tuning on my 7-string guitar, because that's tuned down to G. So with most amp heads, as soon as I plug my guitar straight in there, trying to get a sound, it becomes very muffled and overly saturated very, very quickly. So the Kraken did really, really well with handling all that. So when I added the 33 pedal and played through it again, I felt like my playing slightly changed because this gave a little bit, didn't give a little bit, actually gave a lot of more of a blade cut through, I think is the best way to try to describe it. And it really punched out a lot of the mids. And when I mean punch out, it really emphasized them. So while I was playing and I was hitting those higher like accented notes, this really made them bounce, so to speak, and really made them pop out. So that changed how I played because I really kind of emphasized that and really pushed it more because I could hear it more because it was doing its, well, it's kind of doing its job. I have used this a few times with other pedals and other setups, and I kind of use it as a saving grace because I was getting, dare I say it, some real crap sounds and needed this to more bring it to life. But dealing with the Kraken, because we already had a good sound to start with, and adding this as an enhancer to the already sound, I felt was brilliant. I felt like it really, what's a really good way of describing it? It went kind of like from low definition to high definition when I added this to it, the sound quality. So it really, yeah, really cut through the mix very, very easily with the 7-string guitar. And like all my playthroughs I do very little mixing on the computer to make sure, or post-recording it, to make sure that we actually do hear what's actually happening and I'm not just showing off my sound engineering skills by spruiting it up and sparking it with studio tricks. Not at all. So what you heard with me just turning it on and playing through and then putting the speakers left and right is pretty much what we get at the end, which is good. So one other thing I just want to quickly touch base on before wrapping this up is this pedal, as cool as it looks, because I like how it's just got a bit of engravement there, and it's just black, which is very metal and very cool. It's not the cheapest thing going around. So there's a big argument on not just this pedal, because I'm not just going to pin this one out, but pedals that do this type of thing as a boost. And I own a few different type of boosting pedals. Are they worth it? Are they worth it, or is an amp good enough, or should an amp be good enough as it is? And there's a thing called, what's the right term? Like buyer's justification. Because they are expensive, do buyers who utilize these things, are they hearing what they want to hear because they spent a bit of money on it? Or is it actually justified and there is a big enough change where it's like, not really worthy, but I don't even want to use the justify because I don't want to say it as in regards to you've justified your pay, but does it make enough of enhanced indifference in the sound to have it a part of your setup to get that type of effect or not? Like, could I have got that sound mucking around a little bit more with the EQs with this or not? In my experience, the answer is no. These pedals do make a big enough difference that it does help enhance the amp, and you cannot get that effect straight from an amp. Not saying that amps are crap and you need it to sound better, not at all. But with these combinations, you can get stuff really, really cool sounds. So I believe that boosting pedals do actually make a big difference, and you shouldn't just have to rely on the amp heads. If you choose to just rely on the amp heads, that's absolutely no problem at all. There's nothing wrong with that. But adding these to it to help enhance your sounds is absolutely nothing wrong with that either. So even though this is more on the pricier side of things compared to a lot of other equipment I have and there's out there on the market, I don't believe that it is, what's the right way to describe this? I don't think you're throwing your money away for a pedal like this. And the evidence is in the results like I got today or other ones you've heard in the past. It's an enhancement pedal and it enhances it beautifully if you have something already decent to start with. As I said, I have used this before to try get myself out of a sticky situation with bad sounds to really help boost it and to enhance it. And it has saved the day on a few times. But with this where the day didn't need to be saved, I believe it still did really, really well. And when I talk about really not just enhancing a guitar sound, but from an engineer perspective, when I'm working with different guitar tones and when I'm doing band mixes and I really want to bring up those guitars, what's the right word? Well, I think I'll use the same terminology I did before. Going from low definition to high definition, this is definitely something a pedal, either 33 or like a 33, I definitely reach for that reason. There's a difference between capturing a sound from what you've got compared to putting through a sound very firstly into the amp. So as I said before, the sounds that I was getting when I turned that on jamming made me change how I slightly played and how the amp actually reacted to the pedal and how I got to capture it is very different compared to me just using this and not having this a part of the equation and then trying to post edit it afterwards, trying to get the same type of effect. So they are very different worlds, which is what we call pre-amp and post-mix. So after it's actually captured and how we muck around with it. So this definitely, I believe, makes a big, big difference. But that is enough of me babbling on about my thoughts. I'm very keen to know what your thoughts are on this because I feel like there's a very big divide in the gear enthusiast world when it comes to pedals like this, whether you should need it or not, and people saying you should spend more money on an amp, and an amp should sound good as it is, and you shouldn't need to get one of these. And other people like myself are like, not so much you need them, but they do play a really, really good part in creating a good guitar tone. So where do you lie on the fence in regards to just in general, or after hearing my two comparisons and my comparison of when I was dialing it in, turning it on and off? How do you feel? Do you feel like people maybe like myself do have buyer's remorse and they're trying to justify their purchases? Or is it actually justified in it does make a big enough a difference where it's like, yeah, it's definitely worth adding to it? Yeah, how do you feel about pedals that only have one dial as well? Which is very not me. I definitely lean towards pedals that have more than one dial. What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on the Kraken sound with the distortion just straight off the bat? Do you think that was clean enough, or do you think we should have added a distortion pedal to this to help get a better, more grindier sound, or whatever you feel, or whatever type of sound you feel? Definitely keen to hear your description on what you feel maybe should have added, or do you like what was actually here? I want to know it all, really. Definitely. And also too, if you're not keen to talk about this stuff in the comments, or you've got other ideas, feel free to hop on my Facebook page, which I'll put in the description. You can also contact me there for different video ideas or just thoughts on different gears or whatnot. I'm always up for the conversation. So in saying that, let me do my usual wrap up because I've babbled on long enough. So whether this video was in the foreground or the background, I definitely appreciate your company and being a part of these type of conversations that I love having, and definitely keen to hear from you so you can join in on these type of conversations. Please leave a like and subscribe, and let your friends know or other people you know that might be interested in these type of conversations. And until next time, please stay safe.